This is one of the most exciting webinars I've gotten to present. This is really great stuff. We're very, very excited to be here today talking about STEINEL, pronounced as like COEUS. So why the name COEUS? COEUS is actually the Greek Titan god of intelligence and farsight. With an inquisitive mind and drive to learn, he was able to gain knowledge and understand beyond the obvious. It was also the guardian of the North Pole, and as such was the keeper of heavenly oracles and wisdom that was brought from the heavens to earth. So we thought this was an excellent name for our building intelligence platform. Hopefully you'll learn to spell it correctly, C-O-E-U-S, COEUS. So what is it? Well, what is COEUS? It is a networked solution. So it is a site-based solution. So we are going to have a processor. You see the back of the processor there. That's the COEUS appliance. And on the right-hand side, you see a LAN port. And that LAN port will basically provide, requires one IP address. And then downstream from that port, we can connect DCS connects. That's our 3-zone controller. So we can run a network of switches out to the controllers, and those will be dynamically assigned IP addresses by our device. So when installing this from the IT department, we only need one IP address, which I think is avoiding a huge barrier there. And then on the left side, you see we've got the ability to connect to the corporate network. So this network can be standalone and just sit there, and you can plug directly into our appliance and look at and have all the control and do all the things we're about to go through in terms of features and functions. Or you can connect it onto the LAN inside the firewall. And so if you want to access remotely, you're basically getting a secure connection through the firewall onto the VPN. And then from there, with password protection, you can access COEUS. So very secure, on-site, not a cloud-based solution, and requiring just one IP address on the IP side. So, really nice solution. What does COEUS do? COEUS provides remote access control and monitoring. So here's an example of one install that we've done where you can see there are basically 8 different circuits here. You can see 6 represented, and 2 would be slider bars down or down the slider. And you've got the ability to program the lights for each of those circuits. You can override whatever kind of programming there is and set a scene, save the scenes, press and hold scene 1, and you've got it there. What else can we do? We can import floor plans. So this is a retail environment, and you can see the color coding. There's no magic to it. It's user selected, but you've got different spaces here identified. They're named, and you can kind of see what's going on. You can see where there's some occupancy going on the screen there. You also have the ability to tag spaces. So in this particular example, all of the back of house was lumped together in one tag called back of house. That included the storage areas, the offices, the corridors, the receiving dock, etc. You could also use tags to tag things like accounting department versus sales department versus marketing department. Or you could use tags to look at different space types. So you might want to look at conference rooms, offices, common spaces, lobby. Right? So you can use tags to basically sort data as well as look at the floor plan and be able to control certain areas in a certain way. And you'll see in a second what I mean by that. You also can look at occupancy by area. So this is kind of an occupancy heat map. You can see the color coding indicates how recently something was occupied or how long it's been vacated. So you can kind of get a visual graphical representation. And then in detail, you can see specific sensors. And if you clicked those sensors, you would get information about those. You can also look at the intensity of the lighting in the different areas. So this indicates what the percentage of dimming is for each of the lights in each of the areas. So in those back of house areas, you can see the storage facility is fully lit. The retail environment is a little less lit, and the customer waiting area is even slightly less lit at the moment, right? So that's a real-time indicator of lighting intensity. These are some of the floor plan options. One of the really neat features of COEUS is the advanced scheduling capability. So I have the ability to look at my time clock. I can look on the calendar and I can see what the programming is for every single day. If I want to override that, I can simply click on one of those and activate the programming for the time clock for that time period. Or I can take a look at an event called Retail On, which is enabled, and we want that to kick off at 6:30 a.m. I can then assign a recurrence. So in this case, we've chosen weekly, and it's basically every day at 6:30 a.m. this event is going to happen. I can do this by weekly or by monthly recurrence. I can also do relative dates such as the 4th Monday of May or the 4th Thursday of November. So when I have those dynamic holidays that move around, I have a way to record what the recurrence is and treat those as holiday schedule. So I choose my recurrence and then I go into my actions. And what do I want to happen at 6:30 a.m. every day? I want scene 1 to come up. So if you remember before, I showed you those slider bars. Those slider bars were actually preset. So our store manager walked into the environment, looked at the lighting, played with the slider bars, got the lighting just exactly how he wanted it on the retail floor, with certain display cases being more brightly lit than others. Got it just exactly the way he wanted it to show his product off, and saved it as scene 1. And now scene 1 comes up every day at 6:30 a.m. So really nice, simple user interface to be able to do your time clock scheduling. And he can do that. In this case, he's got 3 different DCS controllers, 3 controllers each. There are 8 circuits on that retail floor. He's able to treat them as one group without having to use the Bluetooth mesh feature, and is able to basically group all those different circuits, look at the relays, and program them all together using this interface. So a very simple user experience for managing the time clock. What else can I do with COEUS? So I've got the ability to do occupancy, energy, and data reporting. So here is an example of our dashboard, and we can look at our dashboard by tag in this case. So we're looking at the retail floor versus the customer waiting area versus the back of house area. So you can see on the upper left, the energy consumption. The blue bar is the retail sales floor. We just set the schedule on that to come on at 6:30. So you can see the blue bar is flat at 0 all the way across, and then boom, 6:30, the lights come on and the energy consumption goes to a steady state until later in the day, where perhaps somebody manually dimmed the lighting load there. You can see the green bar there. That is the back of house area. Maybe somebody was receiving there in the morning and someone arrived at 6 o'clock, and you can start to see throughout the day as different sensors are activated, you can see the energy consumption goes up across the back of the house. On the upper right, we've got occupancy data. I can get that occupancy data again by space. I can get that by tag. So I can look at a specific office or a specific circuit and evaluate what the occupancy rate is. So if I want to know the occupancy rate for the back of house, I can see here, that's the data that I'm getting. The blue bar is flat at 0 since in that day the store wasn't actually open yet. We were still in the commissioning cycle. So you can see there, the occupancy data on the upper right, which you can also get for all the different spaces by clicking on the view in the graphical floor plan. On the lower left, I've got my schedule for the day. So that's my time clock at 6:30 a.m. retail on happens. And on the lower right, I would get any alerts, any issues, things not reporting correctly, etc. Here, I've got no reports. Everything is operating as expected. One of the most exciting parts of this is the programmable touch screen. So this is a huge demand. I know people have been asking STEINEL for years now, can I get a programmable touch screen interface? And the answer is now yes, yes you can. We've got that iPad right there in 5, 7, and 9 inches. You can see there's a little PoE device to keep it powered and communicating. It also comes with a wall mount bracket, and it basically becomes a locked device with a single function. So you know, the folks there at our retail environment can't play Angry Birds on that interface. All they can do is access COEUS. So you've got the ability to change the lighting there. And this is actually how you know, our store manager there went through and set all the settings using the iPad, just exactly how we wanted it, saved it, and then went back and remounted it on the wall, and it is now sort of a permanent addition there. Additionally, the store manager is also able to access remotely through his VPN. He can connect on his phone, and he has the ability to override the time clock or to see the schedule, to see what's happening. So not that there's anything he's going to need to do day to day, but as a proprietor of a small business, you know, he's just got that comfort of having full control in his pocket at all times. So if he's on vacation or away from the store for some reason, he's got the ability to log in over his phone and check what's going on and reprogram everything or set it up, you know, make changes as necessary. So having that security in his pocket is a huge value add, as well as having it on the iPad there. You've also got the ability here on the iPad to do all the visualizations that we just looked at with the proper credentialing, as well as reprogramming the time clocks. So all that can be done from the touch screen, as well as from a laptop interface onto the network. I did want to touch on one more aspect, which we don't have necessarily any deep dive slides, but the last point there, we do have some custom integrations available. So along with COEUS, we do also have some integration capability that we can do on request, and that would include things like HVAC, shades, DMX interfaces. I can even pull data from a guest management database, you know, for a hotel application if I wanted to. For example, at check-in, you know, we can pull up Sean Lafferty's loyalty program settings and set the HVAC to 70 degrees, dim the lights a little bit, and close the shades, for example, just how it's set in my database there. So these are all kinds of custom integrations that we can do, which obviously are not included in the base package, but would be things that we can do on demand. A couple of case studies. So this is the STEINEL America warehouse. You know, so we've got our IS series high bay sensors installed throughout our warehouse, all connected to DCS Connect back to a COEUS device. So we can kind of see what's going on in the warehouse. We can see the occupancy levels. You know, we've got the energy and lighting intensity, and we're managing the schedules. Actually, you know, Thurston, who many of you know is based out of Texas, has the ability to oversee what's going on up in the warehouse in Bloomington. This is the high-end retail example that we talked about a couple of different times throughout here. You know, the big benefits, as mentioned, the advanced scheduling interface, the easy programming, and remote access. The original solution that had been specified here, if you look in the picture there, you can see the 3 DCS wall stations. Those are the DS3s, basically set as slider bars, and you can kind of see the lights lit up to the level. Originally, our man there was coming in and turning the lights on and manually clicking those to the level he wanted, and playing with it each day. And you know, the ability to put the iPad interface in there and set it all, save it as a scene very easily, and add it to the program was probably the biggest benefit for this case example. The last case example that we'll share with you today, this is a college academic building. So it's 4 floors of traditional academic space. So things like classrooms, teacher offices, student lounges, bathrooms, break rooms, all of the things you would expect to find in an academic building. And it's a larger project. It ended up being about 71 DCS connects. And basically, the main drivers were the facility manager wanted to have a graphical interface to be able to set and control the lighting. They also had a requirement for energy monitoring. So, I think a lot of universities these days are trying to keep track of that and report how they're doing. I think it's a great benefit for incoming students to know that their university is very focused on energy savings and being green. And then most interestingly on this one, it required BMS integration. So they wanted to take the occupancy data from the lighting controls and use that inside of the HVAC system. So as rooms are occupied, the set points change relative to when they're vacant, right? So in the winter time, the heat, the set point maybe is 67 when it's unoccupied and 70 when it's occupied. In the summer, it would be flipped. But they're using that data and integrating that with their BMS package. So really great case example. We've really stretched the system and really done everything in this particular environment. It also includes the iPad interfaces. And what we're finding is, our typical STEINEL cost-effective solutions, because of our world-class sensors and our design philosophy of our system having all the pieces and parts already in it, much easier for the contractor to install, but also in the end, typically less expensive because we're able to not have to sell it as a Lego kit, but rather as an all-included, everything's in the box with the DCS. Similarly with the with COEUS, we're basically using that appliance. We're making available network switches. We're sourcing those from Netgear, so there's no real magic to them. You can source those independently if you like. We charge a licensing fee over the parts that are controlled by COEUS. So in this particular example, you can see on the upper left corner, there's a lot of little blue squares in there. Those are TR200 power packs. Those are not digitally connected to COEUS, and therefore they are not subject to any kind of licensing fees. The licensing fee includes our labor to do the commissioning on site for the COEUS portion. We are requiring that you use STEINEL factory commissioning for now. We want to make sure all of these projects go perfectly. So our tech team has a few things on their checklist that they're checking for during the regular commissioning prior to the COEUS commissioning. So yeah, we're handling that directly. And then, yeah, that's it. You've got the iPad wall stations, which give or take are going to be roughly on the order of $1,000 to $1,200 to the contractor. So market price, not our price out. So very cost-effective solution. We know that a lot of our competitors are charging a lot more than that. And we're finding that on some of these initial projects, our pricing to go from a standalone solution, digital control, up to the network solution, we're finding that we are very, very cost competitive. And many of our reps are letting us know that they're moving their portfolios to lead with COEUS over whatever brands they may have had previously, because they know the STEINEL quality is there, the STEINEL sensors are always easier to install, and now we've got the ability to deliver a cost-effective, digitally connected solution. With that, we are right on 20 minutes. Thanks everybody for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate you. This is, to me, one of the most exciting moments in the evolution of STEINEL as a control solution provider. In the last few years, we've gone from standalone sensor company to providing more complete analog solutions to the digital controller, and now to the network solution. And we're continuing to make advances in all those areas, and look for us over the next couple of years to continue to round out our portfolio. But we're really excited about this and look forward to working with you guys on this. Thanks very much. Enjoy your day.